story. Tell me a story. Tell me a story. Remember what you said. Promise me you said you would. Then I said I would be good. Tell me a story. Remember what you said. Tell me a story. Tell me a story.
Sure, my petite Amy. You've come to the Lollipop house for a visit, another visit with Aunt Lollipop. Hold my hand, and we'll go to the gazebo, and I'm going to tell you some stories. See the beautiful wall? And we'll go right in between here, and we'll go right in there, and I'm going to tell you some stories. You know, I didn't find out much about you the last visit, so I'm going to find out a lot about you this time. And we're in the gazebo. Isn't this a pretty gazebo? Do you know what a gazebo is? It's some kind of a summer house. And I'm called Aunt Lollipop, yo Aunt Lollipop, though I can never tell why. But still I'm called Aunt Lollipop, yo Aunt Lollipop. I think I know the reason why, 'cause I love you, yo Aunt Lollipop, I. And do you know I'm every little girl's and boy's Aunt Lollipop? And I love them too. And when I was going down the street today, guess what I saw? I saw a kitten chasing a spool, and she caught it in a paw. If I were a kitten, I'd chase a mouse, not a silly spool. But kittens don't know very much, because they never have gone to school, have they? And you all go to school, don't you? Well, I know about you in Lollipop Land, but those children out there in TV Land don't know much about you. And can you tell your name again, Amy?
Amy.
Amy what?
Bloodworth.
And say it a little bit louder.
Amy Bloodworth.
Yeah, and how old are you?
4.
4. And you tell me your name again.
Jimmy Wilfong. James Quincy Wilfong Jr.
And how old are you?
5 years old.
Yes. And you all don't go to the same school, do you? But you know more than kittens, don't you? Because kittens don't go to school. What do you like best about school? Jimmy, what do you like best about school?
I have to do homework.
Do you have to do homework?
Not all the time.
Not all the time. Do you like to hear stories at school? Does the teacher tell you stories?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Amy, what kind of story do you like? Do you like fairy stories? Or do you like animal stories? Or do you like true stories? Or do you like scary stories?
True stories.
True stories. What kind do you like?
Scary stories.
You like scary stories.
I like all kinds.
You like all
Me
kinds.
too.
You like all kinds of stories. Well, Aunt Lollipop's going to tell you a story this afternoon, which is called a legend. A legend is a story that they keep telling over and over and over again until they think it's true. And, before books were invented, there were storytellers. And they went around from place to place, and people would gather, and the storyteller would tell them stories. And some of those stories have come down through the years, and some of them have been put in books. And so I'm going to ask you a few questions before I start the story, because I'm going to tell you a legend this afternoon. Amy, how many in your family? Do you know? How many brothers and sisters have you got? Do you know? How many? How many? And let me see. 5. And do you know how your mother and father met before they got married? Do you know where they met? Do you know, Jimmy, where your mother and father met each other? You don't know.
I don't either.
You don't either. Well, you must ask your mother and father sometime here. Will you ask them? And tell me, Jimmy, what have you been doing since I saw you last? I know you called me up. And what kind of phone did you speak to me on?
A princess telephone.
A princess telephone. What kind of phone is a princess telephone?
Have you seen toy telephones? This sort of a rectangle that has curls.
No, I never have seen one.
Well, a princess telephone is just like, the telephone is in there. Well,
Yeah.
Well, it's not like it. Well, it has the same kind of dowel, same kind of hook.
Yes.
And except it's a different shape. It's not square, and it's not a rectangle, but it's almost a rectangle. So it has a curl.
Yes.
And it's a curl, and it's down, and another curl, and here's the dowel, and it has light that'll glow sometimes.
Well, I'll have to come to see your new house to see that telephone, won't I? Well, now, have you seen his new telephone in his new house? You haven't seen it? No. Well, now I'm going to tell you a story about the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Over in Germany, way across the ocean, is a country called Germany. And in Germany, there's a town called Hamelin. And in that town, long years ago, Jimmy and Amy, there were rats. The town was full of rats. The men would pick up the hats and there a rat would be. The ladies would go to the table to fix the table and the rats would be scurrying all around. And they said they were so mad about those rats. There were big rats, there were little rats, there were mama rats, there were father rats, there were white rats, there were gray rats. And they told the Lord Mayor of Hamelin if he didn't get rid of those rats, they were going to select a new Lord Mayor. Well, the Lord Mayor wanted to be Lord Mayor. He didn't want him to select a new one. So he called his council together, and he said, we've got to get rid of those rats. And all of a sudden, they heard this knock on the door. And it scared them. They thought it was a rat. And they said, come in. And in walked the strangest looking man. And he had a flute around his neck. And he said, I hear you want to get rid of your rats. How much will you give me if I get rid of your rats? They said, we'll give you 500 rubles. All right, I'll get rid of your rats. He says, I have a magic flute. And anything, when I play this flute, anything will follow me. So he went out in the street and he took up the flute and he started playing it. And when he did, the rats, the mice, everything came running out behind him. And they scurried down the street and the people looked out of the windows and he took them right down to the river Weser. And all the rats jumped into the river and they were drowned. Then the Pied Piper went back to the Lord Mayor and he knocked on the door again. And the Lord Mayor said, come in. And the Pied Piper said, all right, I've gotten rid of your rats. I want my 500 rubles. And the Lord Mayor said, it didn't take you very long. I don't think it's worth 500 rubles. You promised me to give me 500 rubles. If you don't give it to me, you'll be sorry. And the Lord Mayor said, oh, come to the banquet tonight. We'll celebrate. We'll have a turkey. We'll have a wonderful meal. I told you I wanted my 500 rubles. But the Lord Mayor said, oh, I don't think it's worth that. All right. So he went out into the street again, and he took up his flute, and he started blowing it. And when he did, all the little children came out of the houses, and they danced and they sang behind him, and the mothers and fathers said, come back. But they paid no attention to the mothers and fathers, and they skipped behind the Pied Piper, and they were going right down to the river Weser. And all the mothers and fathers said, oh, he's gonna drown our children. But just as they got to the river Weser, he turned and started toward this great big mountain. And the mothers and fathers said, oh, he'll have to stop now because there's that big mountain. But when he got to the mountain, a big door opened, and in he went, and all the children behind him. One little child didn't get there as the door closed, and it just looked like the mountain again. The little boy that didn't get into the mountain was a little crippled boy, and he sat down and started crying. And all the mothers and fathers said, "What did the Pied Piper tell you? What did he tell our children to make them follow him into the mountain?" And the little crippled boy said, "I wanted to go. He said he was taking us to a land where there would be no sickness. We'd never grow old. And I was going to get my crippled leg fixed. I wouldn't be crippled anymore. Oh, I wish I could have gone in." And so the little children went into the mountain, and I guess they're happy. And if you get grown sometime and go to Europe and go to Germany, maybe your mother, or maybe you'll go to Hamelin town, because it's still a Hamelin town. There's still a River Weasel, and there's a street named the Pied Piper. Now let's fix our little mice like this. Here are 5 little mice. We're talking about mice. 5 little mice. You know, they peep out of the hole. Peeping out of the hole, the first little mouse said, "Let's go out and be bold." Put your fingers up. The second little mouse says, "I'm scared." The third little mouse said, "I'm scared too." The fourth little mouse said, "I smell a cat." The fifth little mouse said, "Let's go out and see about that." When all of a sudden, what did they hear? Right by their side. Meow! How those little mice did run and hide. Let's say it over again. Now, y'all say it with me. 5 little mice peeping out of the hole. The first little mouse said, "Let's go out and get bold." He means, let's go out. We're not afraid. Put your little finger up. The second little mouse said, "I'm kind of scared." The third little mouse said, "I'm scared too." The fourth little mouse said, "I smell a cat." The fifth little mouse said, "Let's go see about that." When all of a sudden, right by their side, this is what they heard. Meow! How they did run back in that hole and hide. And you know, I brought this box, and open that box, and you're going to see something in it. Open it, Amy. I want you to see what's in this box. What is it? What is it?
Mice.
A little tiny mouse. A little tiny mouse. No. I'm going to shut him up. And that's what happened. That's what happened whenever they picked up anything. A mouse would be in it, and that's a mouse or a rat. Now here's what I'm going to say. One day, oh my, the time has passed by so fast. Your mothers have come to the gate to get you to take you home. Come give me a big hug. Oh, did you have a good time? Will you come back to visit me again? Real soon? Well, I want to give you a lollipop. What you say?
Thank you. Thank you.
And look, the little French children say merci. Let me hear you say that.
Merci.
Merci.
Can I get one from baby?
Yes, you can have one for your baby brother. Do you want to take one home for somebody?